I guess we're live. How is everyone? How you doing? If you can hear me, please type a message so that I know that I'm audible and nothing is going horribly wrong. Although I do promise I will make some mistakes. So I'm just waiting for someone to say that I'm live and you can hear me. And there's at least one person I know that, Victor. Hello, Victor. Um, I don't know if I have good news for you, but I'll try my best. So there we go. You can hear me. Thank you, Bill. Good. So we can continue. I'm going to start with a very brief housekeeping after welcoming everyone to November 7th, 2024. Is it? Yeah, it's still 2024. And the Ask the Trainer with yours truly, Athanasios Bozantis, aka Noseman. So let me bring up my screen here and I'm going to start posting in the chats and all that and put up some banners. So I'm just going to put up this link over here, which I'm going to paste in the chat in 1 second. I'm going to go here and paste it in the chat. And this way you can click on that link. Let me get rid of this banner here. Excuse me. And you can go to this page using that link, and it gives you links to everything that's important. You can go to the Max on Events page where it gives you all the events that are going on, live shows, and so forth. And you can filter by date, region, and so forth. It also gives you links to the Training Team YouTube channel. Now, these videos are streamed live on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel, as you can see, and the Maxon YouTube channel. But if you want to watch them recorded with comments and timestamps kindly provided by our friend and mentor, Dr. Sassy, please go to the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. There we have them hosted for future views. Now, of course, you can go to the Maxon YouTube channel and watch all the fantastic content we have over there, a great assortment of artists and techniques and software and so forth. And of course, as I always advise people, please do yourselves a favor and go and grab a version of ZBrush, now available on the iPad, so you can learn how to use the most advanced and fantastic 3D sculpting and not only software on in the known universe, at least in the known universe. And of course, as a token of appreciation for your participation in these shows, for sitting here and listening to my ramblings, for the month of November, you can use the code Beautiful Textures. I'm going to go and paste it in the correct chat, hopefully. There we go. And it's all capital letters, uppercase, without any spaces. Beautiful textures, and you can claim a free T-shirt per month. So, of course, go and to Cineversity, our own learning platform, and watch a bunch of videos over there. Now, if you go to this page, the first link I posted, you can go down here and ask your questions for the Ask the Trainer sessions. And we may not be able to answer all questions, but we will get as far as possible. Excellent. So let me bring back, there you go, my screen and my face. And the last thing I would like to ask you is if you have any questions today in the chat, please start with capitalized word question so I can distinguish them from general compliments I receive by tens of thousands of people. And it's easier if you put word questions before that. Anything else do I have? I'm going to put this up here just in case. Beautiful textures for your free T-shirt. And whenever there are available files in any of our shows, they will be in the description text below this video after it's been uploaded. Not all our shows have files. I don't usually provide files on Ask the Trainer unless I feel it contains some sort of more complex setup and so forth. Excellent. So I think we can move forwards. I'm just going to bring up my screen, and I'm going to go and minimize this so we have an empty Cinema 4D scene. And I'm going to go through some of the questions. I'm looking at the chat right now. Um, questions about purchasing and stuff like that. We don't deal with these over here. If you have any questions, please contact Max on support. Even if we did have information, we would not be allowed to say it. So please do that. Now, the question Victor asked is, um, if we have, and again, it's not going to be the most pleasant thing because I don't have a definitive answer on this. But the question was the following. Let's assume you have a character object, and you add the root, and you add the spine, and you control click to add a couple of arms, go back to the spine, control click to add a couple of legs, and then you adjust, you move these things around, then you bind, and everything is nicely bound, and then it's time to animate. And the question was, is there a way, is there a shortcut where if I forgot to add, for example, a jaw, and if you go to display here, you can visualize the whole hierarchy. And yeah, and in the managers, you can put the full hierarchy here so you can see everything. And the question is, what if I forgot to put a jaw? Because the jaw is available after I've done my adjustments and binding and all that. And unfortunately, the way the character object works, if you go back to this, so let's assume that I did something, right? I moved this to adjust my character. If you go back to the character and you say, all right, I want to start again, I want to build and go and add a jaw. Unfortunately, it reverts everything back. So even if you go to the spine and say, all right, I'm going to add a jaw, here's a jaw, and then go, you have to go through the adjust. If you go back to animate and let's go to display and full hierarchy let's see this. Well, I see that the positions I changed everything uh, are there. I do not know what happens with the weights. That's where I wanted to get to. If you go from build directly to animate, you will see the changes you did at least here, but I didn't have enough time to test this. So number one, try and go directly from build, add your component directly to animate. You have to change your visibility because it resets and see if that helps. The other thing is to manually go and add this particular controller. So once you have your rig already built, then you may go and add the jaw controller and just make sure that you do manual weighting so you don't lose the other weights. And yeah, it may take some trial and error. If this fails, please through the forum or DM me on Twitter at NosemanGR. Let me put it here. Give me 1 second. You can use this handle to contact me on Twixer. That's the name I have for Twitter X. And we can discuss this offline. And generally, if any information comes out from any of your questions, which is very often, they find themselves in tutorials or quick tips or in one of these shows. And yeah, that's all I have. Try and go directly from build to animate without going through the adjust and binding phases. And if that doesn't work, then if you want to add the jaw, create a second hierarchy, find where the jaw is, go and put it in the appropriate place. So if you control right click, I can't select it, maybe because the layers are locked. So control right click. Anyway, just click on it and you can go and find it pressing the S button and you will find the jaw somewhere around here. So let me just move this a bit to the right. There we go. And a head jaw. So just grab these two from another character and paste it in exactly the same position. And then just go make sure that you adjust your weighting on your model to change any weights, keep normalization on, and so forth. But that's more of a more, let's say, in-depth character modeling. Let me know how that works. Sorry, I didn't have an automatic answer. And hopefully this is going to work if you go directly um, from the build to the animate without going through the intermediate steps. Okay, let's see. We have more questions here. Let's see. Okay, question from Colin. And let me see if I can bring up some of these questions, comments. Let me go here. Is there a way to render the frames left in a render if it crashes or fails without manually inputting a shorter range of frames in the output tab? Currently, there is no method like that. You have to go frame by frame and type them in. I apologize for that, but that's how it is currently. Let's see. We have a question from Christian here. I haven't read it. I'm just going to put it up here. Is it possible to convert particles with sweep to RS proxy? When I tried, it showed an error. I do not know. What I would, the ideal thing to do here is set up the scene and tell me what you would like to do. Very simplified scene. Don't use any final models or textures or third-party renderers or plugins or anything like that. And hit me up on Twitter, and I will take a look or ask through the form and provide some sort of link for a simplified file to get to that. So let me go and check out a few of the questions. I have 6 monitors in front of me, plus my feedback monitor, and it takes a while for me to get around these things. Okay, let's I'm going to go here and see how much of that I can paste. Unfortunately, in our banners here, we only have a limited amount of space, and see how much of this will be visible. I'm using the branches capsule to make tree-like structure out of splines, and I want the clones to flow from the top all the way down to the bottom. That's the essence of this. So let's take an end side with 2 sides, right? That will create a straight line. And I'm just going to rotate it upwards. And let's go and create the branches. And let's go to nodes, and let's put this modifier, and immediately it will create these little branches here. So the question is, can I make the clones flow if I have a clone here all the way down, all the way to the bottom? That's how I understand it. And if you're wondering if this is going to work, what you need to do is go right click here and say current state to object, right? You don't need this anymore. And let's go and see how this is constructed. What you will see is that each segment, each spline segment, and I think select connected is going to select these. Each segment is a separate segment. There is no understanding of the system for any of these segments going all the way down. So that is the reason this will not happen. And that's because there's no direct path from the tip of this little branch all the way down to the bottom. This is something you will have to construct personally. So instead of using the branch, or use the branch modifier, make it editable, and then go extend each and every one of these lines all the way down here. And if you select this point here and press Control, that goes from the end, from white to blue. Control Shift goes from the beginning, and you can just set this point to be the 0, 0, wherever we had our 0 point, wherever that is, down here maybe. And now that little that path goes all the way down. So other than doing it manually or creating the branches, doing a different way, we cannot do that. And some users ask me, isn't there a way to sort of connect splines? The problem with that is the if you have this condition here where you have 1, 2, 3 points, which one would it be supposed to select? Cinema 4D Classic does not support branching splines. This is something that is supported inside the nodes, but that makes it slightly outside of the context of this particular operation. So yeah, there would be ways to do it. Let's say if you were using nodes, using programmatically, get the first point from each of these splines and add one more point down here in each of these. And they, although this is procedural it might work. This is something we can visit when we decide to do tutorials about the node system and how we can use it. I am planning on that. When I say this, I want to show my face as well, so you know that I'm sincere about it. So there is a plan to do tutorial series on nodes and how they can improve your workflow. But it's still a slightly big topic. You will see the relative announcements when that is in place. And again, I apologize for not having a definite answer on this. So let me go back to the comments here and see what other questions. Let's see here. Um, let's see this. If I have a wiggly spline line, then I clone objects along that line. Have the rate so that they move along the spline, then put a tracer on the clone. The trace will error when the clones reach end. The trace will error, I would assume you mean that it's drawing the extra lines. Um, Let me show you what I think the question means. Let's take a squiggly line. I'm going to call this a squiggly line here. It's yeah, that's a squiggly line. And let's take a cloner with a little sphere with a clone. Let's make it smaller, and let's clone on the object. And let's go and put a rate. So this is going to move, and it will recycle the clones. If I take this and put it under a tracer, so it is tracing and it creates this line. The reason for that is the way MoGraph specifically works is that when the last clone, let's say, dies, leaves this, and a new clone is generated, then that clone becomes this clone. You will see this when you put on your indices and when you start. And let's make this a bit darker so we can see the numbers. Okay. So this is clone 9 and clone 0. When clone 9 disappears, this becomes clone 9. So as far as the tracer is concerned, the clone went from here to here in a single frame, and it makes it appear that it's broken. For something like this, a different approach will be needed. So again, this ties into the same principle I said earlier. You have to send me a very simplified file to see, depending on what you're trying to do, what would be the best way to mitigate that. Okay, let's. Yeah, the tracer will draw a connecting line. Yeah, that was what was I was showing. Um, okay, this was one of the questions I was going to reply. We have addressed this a few times, and it's not a straightforward answer. Is there a way to render post-process as a render pass or any hack for this, specifically render bloom and flare? Now, the answer is not directly. And if you have a redshift camera, again for context, and you go to the let's say optical, actually the lens effects, and you turn on bloom, right? And you turn on bloom. This will create. Let's go to my redshift settings here, and let's start this. And let's add a light, and let's move this light this way. And let's go to the camera and set the threshold to something very low. And you may be able to see the bloom, and I can turn up the intensity so you can see the bloom. The question is, can I render only the post effect as a render pass so you can put it on top of your composite? And the answer is no. But the way to do this, there is a way to do it in comp. And you get your beauty shot that contains both the post effects. It could be flares, it could be anything you wish to add here. And it could be, let me make it, there we go, flares. And you take your the pass without your without your effects, your final beauty pass, and you do a difference effect in After Effects or whatever your compositing software is. And that difference is going to create the difference between the clean render without the post effects and the render with the post effects. And essentially, it's going to give you the post effects, which all you have to do is go and add them on top. So that will be the solution for this. Let me check the other questions. Trying to navigate my monitors and all that. Um, let's go down. Hello, Sharon. Rune says, when Sharon is here, it must be almost time for the weekend. No. When I'm here, it is the weekend. Come on, don't. It is the weekend, and I'm in the middle of a little bit of vacation, and I'm taking breaks from my break to do these shows because we didn't want to stop them during November. So you can have a few nice things to do Christmas if you want to avoid, family conversations. You can go and work. Let's see here. I don't know if I have an answer for this, but I'm just going to put it up. How can you have a texture material follow a spline mask, that is already pre-made? Example, uploading a sports logo Illustrator file that has a rigid pattern that bends at corner. No, well, we can't do it with a texture. We can do it with a deformer, though. So let me attempt to show a method to potentially do this. So you bring in your Illustrator file, which will be the equivalent of having sort of a text spline. Okay, so I'm going to name this my logo. I could say my fantastic logo, but I'm going to try and be a bit modest today. I'm going to choose the default typeface, right? So, and you want it to follow a spline. So let's go to my top view and let's draw a spline. So this is the spline, and we're going to make the logo sort of sweep along this line. Excellent. Now, in order to let's add thickness or some sort of polygon, some sort of polygon to this. I'm going to fill it in. The easiest way to do that is you put it under extrude object with a 0 offset. So this is a flat polygon now. You can go here, you can see a flat polygon. Okay. Now, I assume what we need to do here is put this so it sort of squiggles along the spline with a bit of deformation. That's what I would assume. So let's go and use the magical, the brilliant, the fantastic spline wrap. And let's put this under a null because it's a generator, just to make sure that we retain the hierarchy, and get the deformer to affect this hierarchy. And I'm going to go, you can see the arrow over here indicates where the spline is going to be used. And it doesn't look all that bad. There we go. So we have this. Now it is lying on, we need to rotate it 90 degrees. And to do that, it's quite simple. You go to the rotation group in the spline wrap, and you can change the banking of this to the direction you want. So minus 90. The way to figure out which way you're going to do it is called the Noseman's eyeballing way of where the number is going towards, right? It's we can find an acronym for that. You just go here and you look at which direction it's going, and oh, this seems to be the direction, and then you type if it's minus, a minus 90, if it's plus, a plus 90, and there you go. So that's step one. Step two, we have a couple of steps to do, is this is too long, and the reason is the mode is fit spline. If you want to retain the proportions of what you're doing, you have to keep the length. Now, this is nice and cartoony, but we get these weird artifacts here. And of course, it's quite big. So you can always go and sort of scale it down to bring it to a more manageable size. That's just something that will happen wherever you do this. If you have turns which are too tight, you're going to get pinching. And there's nothing we can do about that. But in any case, let's make this nice. Now, the other thing I'm seeing here is, I'm getting these straight lines. If you're doing a cartoon logo, that's all good. The reason this is happening here, though, is that the spline itself only has one point here and one point here. If you want this to bend a bit more, let's say naturally, make sure that your spline has intermediate points because by default, the splines are adaptive, which means it's going to add points where it's round, but not add points. Let me do this so I can show it. If you add more extrusion, you will see that the rounded parts, and I think the best display for this is hidden line. There you go. So the rounded parts have subdivisions, and any deformer requires subdivisions to do that. Whereas the straight segments don't have lines. But if you go to the spline and you change from adaptive to something, for example, uniform or natural, that will retain the corners. Now we're getting a nice little bow over here. So let's go back to this and make it 0. And now you have a much better looking logo. And finally, if you want to move this around, if you can see that this didn't update, right? There is the spline wrap right at the bottom has one of the most important things, which is the bounding box. And I think you need to update this a couple of times to because when I extruded it, it readjusted its bounding box to the new extruded model. Just turning this off and on will bring it back to normal. But now animating, it's all about moving it. So the offset would do this. So although you can't do this with a texture, you could take this logo from Illustrator or something like that and do it that way. Another thing you could do if you definitely need to do it using some sort of texture is instead of the text line and logo and all that, what you could do is create a plane. So um, let's put the plane. I'm going to put it on the plus Z here. Let's do this. Let's go and make it this long and this short, and let's add a few more segments. Now, this will comply the same way that your text did. So if you project with your texture, let me see if I can find something in my textures over here. There we go. I have a UV grid. Let me just quickly create a material with a UV grid. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. And I'm going to put it here. Because this is a UV texture, let me start IPR here so we can see it. It will comply to the shape of what's happening. So instead of, let's say, deforming the texture itself, what you're doing, you're projecting it on an object that is deforming and providing, and a flat plane is perfect for this, providing you have your UV coordinates are correct, which in this case is just a grid. You'll be able to make it appear as if the logo is bending. So between these two approaches, I think you'll be able to find a solution. Okay, let me read. Let's read. Where are we? Um, okay, this is going to be a quick one. Can you create a realistic splash, including underwater bubbles coming off an object after it submerges without any plugins? Yes, you can. Uh, it will take you a bit of time, but let me. I'm going to show you a few tips because bubbles and stuff like that, people like them. Now, in terms of the splash, not really. It won't be realistic. We do not have a fluid solver in Cinema 4D. I can talk to you about the bubbles if you want, or you can fake it using particles and a volume builder volume measure if you want. You just need to make sure that your particles sort of comply in a certain way with what you're trying to do. Again, this is if I say it's not going to be perfect, um, it's going to be far from perfect. But if you're willing to go through this, maybe let's get my particle set up and do a spline emitter, and you can animate your particles going in a certain direction if you wish. Let's say, well, let's go make them go upwards. So go to properties, and let's go to direction, and let's go axes and plus Y, so they're going to go upwards. Of course, you would go and generate a shot of more of these. Um, Good. And maybe you want this to have some sort of a bit of spread, and you can use some attractors or some fields or stuff like that, or even make it emit using a pulse. I want 10,000 particles per second from frame 5 to frame 10, and it's going to go and do this. Oh, only once. I want to do it only once. So I'm going to go with constant and just a range, duration 5 frames, and start frame. Did I say 5 or something like that? I think I said 5. So yep, and just increase this to 100,000 or something, and then you'll use various modifiers to give them the shape they want and so forth, and of course some gravity. So I know it's not perfect, but you will go about building this in that sort of way. Use some fields. So already, how you're going to trigger this depends what you want to do. You can see we're getting this sort of particle thing going up. Um, you can make them go a bit outwards, but automatically that is not possible to do. Now, as far as the bubbles are concerned, where let me find that again. Um, yeah, as far as let me bring this up again. Um, the bubbles and all that will be a mesh emitter. So you would just create whatever object you want this to do, or without an object. If you want the bubbles, just I guess it's going to be an object. You will use your mesh emitter. You will make those go upwards with a bit of negative gravity, maybe. So let me remove all these, and let's do this mesh emitter, and let's do this. There we go. So let's say we are going to emit a few of these over, let's say, a few frames, 5 frames, starting from 0. Good. And let's make sure that these don't have any velocity, because we want them to be static. Good. And then we can say, let's get some gravity and turn it up. There we go. Again, conditions and so forth to control this. Good. And then you can use a friction force quite high, so that they are a bit tamer, even higher. You can use a field to make them go slower as they go up, and turbulences and stuff like that. Yeah, you can generally do the effect, but it's not an automatic thing. It's not setting up a cup with saying this is water dropping an object and stuff like that. That will not work. But yeah, if you want to do it a bit more manually, you will get a decent result depending on how much realism you need. So, Bruno, I'm having a hard time adapting myself to the new layout of Cinema 4D. I have good news for you, Bruno. You do get used to it. And once you get used to it, you will potentially enjoy it more. Okay. No promises, but let us know. Um, let me see. I don't think I can answer this. All caps. I'm going to read it. Hi there. Quick question. Can you please? This is how it sounds in my head when I'm reading capital letters. I don't know if I can do this on the show. Let's say, can you please guide how to create CG like adding some subjects and changing background of a person in Cinema 4D? Um, let let me try and interpret this. Adding backgrounds and stuff like that is not that hard, if that's what you mean. Let's get a human here. Let me type it properly. If I don't type it, human, and I need models, right? So let's grab that person over there. Oh, we have a human, and we need a background. Okay, so I can use one of my HDRs. You'll find them in the media, and let's find something with some ground here. Just drag it on here. And why do I find the one that has steps? There we go. And let's change the zoom level. There he is. and redshift. Let's do this. There you go. There he is, lit by the background. You need a shadow catcher if you want just to add the shadows here, but it all depends on what you're trying to achieve with this setup. I think there's a bit more nuance to that question. If you want to retype a few more things about that, yeah, but generally just adding a person. Let me quickly do the floor and the shadow catcher. As far as I know, you right click here and you say render redshift object and matte override uh, general and enabled. There you go. So now it's catching some shadows. You can see the feet underneath there and it's catching the shadow. So it feels that this person is sort of sitting there in that place. Let me see how far I can push the lighting. Eh, no. Anyway, if you want to imitate these very hard shadows here, there's a trick you can do. Since we're here, let's do the trick. So what you need to do is create a camera and put it at 000 and look through it. Okay, that's number one. Let me turn off this guy and let me turn off the disk, right? What I'm trying to do now is find where the sun is coming from. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. Now, I'm going to navigate around. I can fold this. I need to navigate around here and I need to dim my image. So go to the dome light itself and let's dim this a bit. There we go. And the next thing you need to do with your camera active is change the camera navigation mode to, I think it's send camera mode. And this is going to pan the camera around. What you will see here is the camera is panning around that pivot. And try and find the sun and put it in the center, okay? So I'm standing at the middle of the world, 000, and I'm looking at the sun. That means that the sun is looking at me. If you're staring at the abyss is staring at you, something like that. So what you can do now is you can go and create let's go and create just a infinite light. And I'm going to put this under the camera and zero out all rotations now. All I have to do is take the sun and point it in the opposite direction, right? 180 degrees. There we go. 180 degrees. So it's pointing 180 degrees in the opposite direction. I actually don't need that camera anymore, because now I have placed my sun in such an orientation where any objects I add, the shadows are going to go in the same direction there. So I can go back to this. Let's go back to my redshift layout and see how much success. There you go. Look at the shadows now. So let's go back to that gentleman and reset. Oh, it's the infinite light. Sorry about that. Let's go back here and reset the defaults. And now you can see the shadow. And this shadow should, to a great degree, comply with the shadows coming from other parts, independent. Oh, let me change my camera back, navigation to cursor mode. And we should have the shadow sort of following that. Okay, so that was just a little extra tip on how you can get shadows when you have an HDR by just pointing up and creating a light that points in the opposite direction. Okie dokie. Let's further go down. Let's see if we have any other questions. Let me cut the object recording. Let's see. Uh, can we cut the object according to the image PNG if not having splines? Yeah, we can use an alpha channel. So PNGs have transparency. So if you add a PNG and make the alpha, let me just show you. Well, I don't have a transparent PNG right now, but I can show you what you need to wire up. I'm going to create a redshift material and I'm going to create a texture, and you're going to drag your PNG in here. And then you're going to get a splitter, color splitter, and you're going to put your color in your color. And from the splitter, you're going to get the alpha channel and you're going to put it in the opacity. That's what you're going to do. So if your image is a TIFF, for example, that has an absolute alpha channel, the fourth channel is RGB and A for alpha, this is what's going to come out, the A. But if you have a PNG, the PNG transparency becomes the alpha. So that's what you need to do, and you can cut out your object. Try that and let me know if it works. Okay, let's go. All right, let's do this. I wish I had some laser shows here. Maybe I have a light. Let me bring a light. I'm going to do Sharon a favor because I'm on holidays. I can do whatever I want. Let's do this. I'm going to bring the light. I have my beautiful lights here, which I actually never use, but we have to do this for Sharon. No one complain, right? Sharon is a friend, and when my friend asks for something, I do it. So there we go. Have a light. Let me change the hue. We need a different hue, don't we? Saturation, intensity, hue, saturation. There we go. Let's go. Let's party. Is that saturated enough? Intensity, hue, red light. There we go. We can do a party now, right? That's all I wanted to do. What a waste of your time. Anyway, I hope at least it's mildly entertaining. So let's continue down the questions. Bought a shirt. Nice. Enjoy. Enjoy in health, as we say in Greek, meya, with health. When you buy clothes or houses, that's what we usually say, or a car. Can you draw splines on an object surface? Raul, it's actually a really nice question. When I say really nice question, it's fairly simple. So let's see if we can do this. Here we have this sphere, and let's go to the sketch. And if you just start drawing here, what you will see is that the spline will go on the camera plane, right? A bit of a digression, first of all. Where are splines drawn if we have a 3D view? So if you make a camera and you activate it, and let's say we're from this view over here, right? And I'm drawing a spline. If you go to, let's get out of the camera here. You can see where the camera is and where the camera screen is. If I take this camera and move this here, it's basically aligned with the camera plane and the 0, of my scene, right? So just in case you were wondering. So back to drawing splines. You could use the snap tool as far as I remember. So here's my freehand tool again. And let's open the snapping here and go to polygon. And right, it snaps the polygon. That's one thing. Let's go out here. Let's take these out. So not points, just polygons. You can see that we're drawing on the spline now, on the surface now. So drawing on surfaces is just a combination of using potentially the spline sketch and your polygon surface snapping, essentially. So yeah, you will just do this and it will draw on the surface. Now, having said that, sometimes it's not extremely practical to do that. You can even project. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Let me turn this off. You can project splines onto something. So let's take a rectangle, very simple rectangle, and I need to make sure that the rectangle is sort of in frame where I want it to. All right, let's go to this frame here, make it smaller. Why don't I take a text, which is even more impressive? So let's move it here. Let's go to middle. Let's make it smaller. So it sort of fits within the object like this. There we go. So that's cool as it is. And you can project this on your surface using the project deformer. Let's go here. Where's my, this must be something it's called project, so a projection deformer. There you go. Put it under this spline, and this is the target object. It's using parallel mode or directional mode. You can choose how to get it to project. This is interesting because it allows you to sort of define where the projection is going to go over here. And of course, it's a bit too close to it, so it fans out. And if you had a camera, so remember when I had that view over here, I wanted to project it. Was it here? No, let me go. I'm pressing Control Shift Z to undo my camera position, right? We have two undos. Undo view is just undoing the camera, whereas the proper undo is undoing what I'm doing. So if you do create from this point of view a camera, this camera is exactly in the position we want this to be. So you can make your projection a child of that camera and zero out all the coordinates like that. And now you can put it back and do this, and you will see it gets projected from that point. Now, if you're wondering about the little why we're losing it, it's because we don't have enough points. So this is ties into that deformation trick I showed you earlier. Go to spline and just make sure you have enough uniform points. So there are points enough to deform. Since I'm saying this, you can see that we're losing some of the corners here. You can see that corner. If you set it to natural, you won't lose those, right? And yeah, you can increase this, and now you have a nice sort of deformation. Make sure you have enough segments here, and now you have a perfect little spline. If you want this to remain this way, just right click and say current state object, and now you have a little deformed spline which you can go to a new document, paste it in, and there you have your little spline doodle. There we go. Fantastic, as they say in Germany, if I'm correct. Okay, let's see. That's so good start. Sharon, if I rig a character with the C40 character control rig, can I put a character definition tag on it to sync mocap? As far as I know, you can. As far as I know, you can do this. But character C4D character control rig, is it compliant to? Let me see. Are you talking about the Mixamo control rig? This one here, because the Mixamo control rig is compatible with the Mixamo rig, uh, but you should be able to do that. Let's yeah, you know what you need to do. If I'm a bit slow in my response, just be a bit patient, but send me something so I can check it out. Okay. Anything that starts with "Are there any plans?" The answer is I don't know or I can't say, but both yield the same reply. Um, oh, wait a minute. We have tiles. Gradient is a ramp. More standard material shaders into Redshift. So we have tiles. We have the gradient is the ramp, not the ripple, but you can do ripples using the distance shader. And I have to tell you, I'm a bit guilty that I haven't used it. So, what's the worst that can happen, right? What's the worst that can happen? Let's go and try out and create a ripple. You want the ripple to grow. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Right? I can't figure it out. But let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get a little sphere. But as far as tiles and that, it can be done. Okay, let me try this. I haven't tried the distance shader, and that is I apologize, right? I apologize. So no reflection. Let's bring, I guess, IPR. And actually, I don't want the IPR. I just want to see proper redshift. Um, there we go. And let's drag a little window here, and let's see what we can do here. So distance. So we have out color, we have the out distance. So let's go and find out. Distance from what? from other surfaces, right? So let's get the out distance and put it on the surface here. Whew, look at that. So what if I take this? Let me go closer here. So it's getting some sort of distance here, distance far, distance near. Don't ask me. Ask Ellie. Hi, Ellie. So samples. I don't care about the samples. What am I doing here? So we have distance near and distance far. Okay. So this is distance. Aha. Okay. Okay. From a certain distance to another distance from any of the objects. Include mode. All objects or a certain trace set or a certain number of objects. Okay, that works. If I bring this lower, I'm going to get there. Good. And what if I go here and create a ramp? Put it in here and let's go to the ramp and let's go and add some intermediate things. So I guess that there is a way to fudge this, maybe a bit more programmatic way and so forth. Yeah, we don't have the ripple, but there could be ways to do this using other methods. I'm going to leave it at that. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. As far as the other things, tiles and so forth, they just exist. Go and type tiles and you will find them. Okay. Imran, brother, you're never too late. And you can always watch it recorded on the Master Training Team YouTube channel. Okay. Yeah, this is a good comment, right? The gradient itself did have more functions, but there are nodes where you can manipulate the ramp to do these. Now, we don't have 3D gradients and so forth, but you can use the distance to do something about those. Okay. New idea and technique, loving it. Great. I'm glad someone is having fun. Let's see. Yes, the new jitter, which is continuously worked on by the Redshift developers, is a great way to do stuff. We're gonna have snow soon enough. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm gonna take a photo maybe when we've got 2 meters of snow. Okay. What else do we have here? I'm just reading through. If it's a bug, I don't know what I can do. Plug noise into the text, separate noise into distort. Noise cannot distort. I don't know. If you feel that something is a bug, the best place is maximum support. Okay, there's not much I can do. Or DM me, send me a file. So and tell me what your expectation is and what it's actually doing. Let's see. And Sharon figured it out. Great. So you're not sending me that email. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Leo, hey. Hey. When I have an animated object with keyframes in a parent object that is not coordinate 000, whenever I unchild my animated object from it, it moves in space. Yes, because all keyframes are recorded as numbers in their local positions. Okay, and that's why you can move things around. Here's the very keen observation by Leo. Let's say we have a null. This is the parent. And I'm going to hide my extraordinarily beautiful face so you can enjoy extraordinarily beautiful software. So let's say we have this parent null here. And we do a very simple cube underneath it. And we move it around and we rotate it and make it a child. Okay. Now, let's go and animate some of these. I'm going to animate everything, just positions and rotations. Let's go to frame 90 and let's move it here and rotate it and do the same thing. Just add my keyframes here and my keyframes here. Okay. Now, here's the thing. At frame 0, so let's go look at the numbers here. Okay. The keyframe is just a recorded number about a particular position. So this here, the value is minus 92.621 centimeters, right? That is the X position of this cube. Now, the parent happens to be in the middle of the world, and this is a child of its parent. If I take the parent and I move it around, the expectation is that I'm not going to break my animation, right? It's still going to move through. It doesn't matter. I can move this here. It's still going to do that relative motion because it's just following the numbers, and these numbers are always in local space, whatever this coordinate manager shows, not the global space we see here, not the world space. Now, the expectation is that when you pull this out, although you don't have a parent, this is in global space. And if you do this, it's going to pop back where it were in the beginning. And that's because the numbers are still the same. That was 92.621. And it's calculating it from the root, which is the center of the world. Whereas if you go and move this around and put it here, it's going to calculate it from the parent's position. And that is normal behavior, right? By the way, it's not abnormal. That's how we expect things to work. Yep, that's what I have about this one. Prevent it or fix it. There is no fix. Why do you want to prevent it? If the fix, there's no fix, but what you could do is put it under another parent, which is in the, so to speak, correct position. So, okay, let me try this. Let me try this. Let's say we have this, my elbow, I pushed everything out the way. So I'm going to move this. So this is something, a hand or a face or something like that. Okay. And let's say this little dude was, oops, let me just make this one smaller. Okay. There we go. So you did your animation. You did your animation as relates to this. Now you want to remove it from here, but you want it to remain in the same place because maybe you want to make it a child of a sphere that is here. That's going to do other stuff. So you want to make this moving cube a child of the sphere, but you don't want to you don't want to lose this position you have here. The way to do that, the only way to do that is create a proxy object that is in the same position of this and call this new parent, for example, new parent. Then take this new parent and make it a child of the sphere, and then move this over here to the child parent. Oh, I didn't change the rotation. I had some rotation here, I would assume. This one. Okay, there we go. Let's put the new parent here, and let's make this a child of. Why is it moving? No, that was an update issue. Sorry, I'm becoming a bit paranoid, right? Allow me to be paranoid. So yeah, no problem whatsoever. So the new parent is in exactly the same position. Move it here and then make this a child of the new parent, and it should do exactly the same thing. And now it's going to comply to the position of this. But if you record your keyframes, recording keyframes is always in local space. It's not a mistake. It's not a bug. It's how it works. Because otherwise, we wouldn't be able to animate parents of objects to do other things. So if you wanted this to do that and you wanted to add some extra animation, you would go to the parent and you can add something like a vibrate tag, and it's going to move things around or rotate things or scale things and so forth. And that's how all animation software works. If you want things to be, let's say, in global space, then make sure you are animating them either in the root level or under a null that is in global space. That's, but in any case, it has to be relative to its parent, whatever that is. Okay. Let's see. Where are we here? My, oh, Imran, yeah, someone added a tutorial with a distance shader. So please go and check it out on Cineversity. Dusan, how you doing, my friend? Haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're well. Let's see what we have here. Berkan wants to place a rock on the top of a landscape object, but I wanted to create a depression where it sits and stay embedded on the landscape. I'm trying to use surface tool, but it didn't work. Okay, I mean, there are a few ways to do this. Actually, it's a potentially fun question. If you may, I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Oh, everyone, raise your coffees to Maxon and their great tools. Thank you very much. So, cheers, everyone. Let's go to that question here. And let's go and create a landscape object. Maybe, shall I add audio effects like stuff like that? Maybe. We want to put a sphere. Let's see. A rock. Okay. I'm going to use a sphere, but it works the same way. Let's actually create an icosahedron with a very few number of sides. Okay, so just to make things look better, I would prefer if the default colors were a bit darker. There you go. And I'm going to put this on constant shading. Ooh, that's not good. Quick shading. I just don't like the shine. But anyway, and let's take the sphere and make it another color. There you go. So I want to move this somewhere here and create some sort of depression. Now, this is not going to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a way forwards and will be somewhat interactive. What I want to do is whenever this sphere goes here, I want to push away some of the points in a certain direction. I would say downwards to begin with. So I need to tell this landscape to move its points downwards. So let's get a plane effector. Let's make it a child. Let's tell the effector to be a deformer of points. That's fantastic. I love this. Problem solved. And make sure that your parameter is such where the points are moving in the direction you want them. And this will be downwards, I would assume, and inwards somewhere. There we go. I'm going to do this, all points, no problem. Let's just do this and we'll find a potential other solution later on. Now, what I need to do here is go to fields and drag my sphere in here because I'm going to use this as a mask. Make sure you're in surface mode. And you can see now that the points have moved or just those points that are there. If I move this now, you will see that the depression goes with it. And you can control the amount of that depression that's happening. Now, another potential thing you can do, and you adjust the values of how much it moves and so forth. You said the surface tool. No, is it the surface deformer? Is it the surface deformer? Let's try that. So the surface deformer, I'm going to apply it here. I'm going to drag the surface. I'm going to initialize. And, oh, no, it's not the surface. What am I saying? It's the collision deformer. Collision deformer. Collision. There you go. Put it here and tell the collision deformer to use this as the collider. There we go. And you can control how much it's going to move, fall off if you want some certain amount of distance. Is that going to work? No. Colliders intersect. Yep. Or you can go outside. That will give you a bit of a improvement. Intersect inside. We'll do the opposite, outside. And let's see how far. Why is it not? Why can't it get it to work? There we go. I can control how much of it it's going to participate. You can restore the shape and do all those things. But essentially, this allows, you can see what's happening here, just pushing it. And there must be some sort of iteration thing going on. I haven't used this for 1,000 years, so I don't remember where everything is. Steps. There you go. So the steps, because it iterates, allows you to control how much it's going to move and various other things. This was built for character animation, but in any case, it allows you to create these depressions like that. So anyway, hopefully this will provide you some solutions, a collision deformer or something, using a field and whatnot. Okay. Oops, that's a question we had earlier. You're beginning in cinema 4D. I want to make a career in computer graphics. Guide me. Well, I assume you've downloaded the trial of Cinema 4D and you follow tutorials, watch the shows, and basically it's finding all the resources you can for what you're trying to do, and then it's practice. Um, Visual effects and motion graphics and all that, they it's like drawing or painting, right? No one can just sit down and draw anything. You have to practice and practice and practice. The same with music, the same with anything else. And some sort of more classical artistic education, classic art books, and watching what other people do, not only new stuff, but things that happened in the past, classical movies and all that, and you will get a better sense. And then it's just practice, practice, practice again and again and again. And the more times you fail, the better you're going to be. And if you don't fail, that means you're not trying hard enough. That's my only advice. Okay. Imran, let's see. New to Redshift. Oh, I didn't know that. Simple material help. A plane as floor with any bitmap texture with gradient circle as a mask. How can I fade out uh, gradient circle as a mask? That's unless I misunderstand the question. Let's quickly go. I have. Let's go here because I have this material here. So let's take this out. And you just want to add an alpha using a circle, correct? There we go. So let's go to our material over here. The alpha channel in Redshift is the opacity. Now, any of the channels that is not exposed here, in any case, if opacity didn't exist, let me delete it. You go and you find it, and it should be in geometry opacity, and you control click on this. Boop, there it is. And here you use a ramp. So ramp is the equivalent of the gradient. You can set the type of ramp. So it's here, radial. Nope, I always mix them up. Circular. There we go. Add it in the opacity. And we should get now, let me turn on the Redshift IPR. And let's go and play with our colors over here and see the transparencies and all that stuff. So and why isn't that disappearing? Oh, yeah. Oh, Lord. Yeah, that's why I don't like the IPR, because it's rendering on top of the viewport. So the transparency sees the viewport. Turn this on. Do as you say. I'm not doing as I say myself. Let's turn it on. Oh, really? Okay. Turn this off. Turn this on. When that doesn't work, make sure you turn off your IPR. So you can see that the gradient is the reverse of what we are trying to do. Okay. And you just go here and you invert the gradient. And there you have it, your soft little edges. Let's make sure they are soft by adding an object. Let's add a cube. Let's go and move it back, move it here. And you'll see that you have nice, smooth edges. And the smaller you make your gradient, the smoother it's going to become. There you go. So the ramp is for your gradient and the opacity is for the equivalent of the alpha channel. Okay. Da-da-dum. Let's see. When I'm thinking, I want you to see that I'm actually thinking, that the gears are rotating. Let's see. Metal leak in stack allocated by, so you're on a Mac. Contact tech support. It sounds, I think when it says metal, that should be Mac based. So please contact and provide any seen or reproducible steps so they can track it if it's a bug, or inform you if they have any information on this. Victor, I hope I answered it in a good way. Maxon does not have a Discord channel. If you want to apply for the beta program, that's one thing. You need to have a license with Cinema 4D license. Again, do it through the official channels. And what else? Redshift has a forum. If you check for Redshift forums, you will find, but we don't have a Discord and all that. Yeah, having a forum, by the way, anyone that has tried to moderate or run a forum is so hard. I could never do this. Okay, let me just check the time. What? It's already 11 and a half minutes past our hour. So I'm going to go down here and see if I can get to a few more questions. I didn't read this. Is there a way to simulate just a joint of a rig so it will react physically but stay locked to the rig in one end? Well, joints do have a dynamic system. I don't know if that is. I'm going to do it anyway. So let's go and create some joints here. So get the joint tool, press Control, and click, 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 click. There we go. Perfect. Now let's go and add to this. Let's add to this. I'm going to put this at the center of the world. And the reason is OCD. No other reason. You can have it wherever you want. So if you go to the rigging and you add an IK tag, the IK tag, and let's leave it as is now. You can go to let's go end, boink, and let's add a goal. There we go. So we have the goal here to do this. You can go here and add dynamics. You turn them on. Let's increase frame rate, and you can press play. And basically, it uses those parameters. So it's got a bit of a bounce. So you can continue doing your animation, but at the same time, it has that little bit of a bounce. And of course, you can change the strength and add some drag, rotation hold, position hold, and all that. But it's great because you can do nice little cartoony secondary animation. Doing, doing, doing. Scratching my head. Oh, there he is, a squirrel. Right. So that's how this works. If this is what you meant. If not, contact me on Twixer and I'll take a look at the scene quickly. About yeah, Joe did a ton of stuff with us, and all the stuff was brilliant. Yeah, 6-part series. It was a 6-part series plus tutorials on Cineversity. Yeah. Okay, Sharon, take care. Oh, let me say goodbye. Bye bye, and see you soon. Yeah, maybe it's a hardware thing. I don't know. But okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's the best way to keep things under wraps. I forget a lot, so if I don't develop habits, then my life would be a mess. Look how clean my office is. If you look at the back, it's very, very clean. What's happening outside my camera is none of your business. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. As usual, you've all been amazing, asking great questions. I didn't get to all the questions I wanted to, so I'm taking a break from working now. I'm going to be back with the next Master Trainer, which is on the 20th, I think, 2 weeks from now. In the meantime, I'm going to be peeking through social media and all that. It's not that I'm addicted, right? I can control it. I can control it if I want to, and that's what everyone says. But post questions. If for any reason I don't reply, I try to tell anyone that contacts me that I'm not frequenting these days, just taking a break. I only have a handful of things to do in the house. Yeah, preparing for winter. That's why I need these days. And I want to thank you all again for being part of this show. This show does not exist without you. Then will be just me talking about things, and I'll do some sort of reverse housekeeping, just to remind you that use this link. You'll find it in the chat. Let's make sure that I'm not sure if the chat is it can be replayed. So let me just go and post it here for every one of you, to go to that fantastic page that has all the information you need. Don't forget to claim your T-shirt for the month of November. It's beautiful textures. And please make sure to follow this month at the Create with Max on, which Ellie is hosting Jess. And I'll leave it at that. Just go check it out, because there's some amazing stuff going on over there. So thank you all for being part of the show. I'm going to put up the end screen has a barcode which leads to the same link I posted. If you're too lazy to type, just pick up your phone and point it at the barcode. With that said, have a nice week. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.